Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to you and welcome to this special edition of the Doha Debates, coming to you from the Gulf state of Qatar and sponsored by the Qatar Foundation. It's no secret that the Palestinians are deeply divided. In 2007, when Hamas expelled Fatah from Gaza, scores of people were killed in the factional violence. Since then, the two sides are accused by human rights groups of illegally detaining hundreds of each other's supporters and in some cases torturing and executing them. Peace deals have come and gone, the Mecca deal, the Yemen deal. Now we're told the two sides are close to an Egyptian-sponsored deal, but already they're accusing not just each other, but both Cairo and Washington as well, of trying to undermine the accord. Will this deal, so far unsigned, disintegrate like others before it? What went wrong in the past, and can it be fixed? In this unique session, we bring together senior officials from Hamas and Fatah for you to question about why they have fought each other, how they can settle their differences, and why they feel they should represent the Palestinian people. Because of the special nature of this event, we've dispensed with the normal debating motion, but we will be asking you to vote at the end on one question. Do you have confidence in the current Palestinian leaders? Well, our speakers have traveled far and wide to be here. They are from Fatah, Dr. Nabil Shaath, one of the PLO's chief negotiators, and the Palestinian Authority's first ever foreign minister from 2003 to 2005. And with him, Dr. Abdullah Abdullah, chairman of the political committee of the Palestinian Legislative Council and senior Fatah spokesman. From Hamas, Osama Hamdan, Hamas representative in Lebanon and a member of the organization's political bureau. He has also participated in talks between Hamas and European officials. And Mohammad Nazzal, senior Hamas leader in Damascus and spokesperson for the political bureau. Ladies and gentlemen, our panel. So now let me first call upon Nabil Shaath to give his view of the conflict with Hamas and the ways out of it.
We, the Palestinians, are a people who fought bravely for 100 years to achieve the freedom of our country and the return of our refugees. In the 20th century, we are the very last colony in this world today. We struggled united most of the time. We differed politically at times, but this is the first time we split politically and geographically, the worst. Nothing worse could hit a beleaguered people than disunity, leading to separation and civil war. Civil wars are the worst in history, pitting brother against brother. There are always third parties interested in keeping the parties at war. But the enemy and the third parties are not the only parties to blame. We have to take responsibility. Why did we allow it to happen in the first place, or to continue? I refuse the insult that we are nothing but clients of Iran and America. We are independent strugglers for freedom. Therefore, we are responsible. Resolution of our separation has no military solution. Only through dialogue and reconciliation can we do it. There were Palestinian efforts at reconciliation from the very beginning, and a big role of Arab mediators was played. Egypt took the major responsibility for 1.5 years, and it tried its best. We reached a detailed agreement. It was bridged and edited by Egypt into what was called an Egyptian paper. We signed it, despite our reservations. Hamas did not. It had reservations about the final Egyptian edited version. I know we need help and to perform other steps to rebuild confidence. We need ongoing political discourse, partnership, power-sharing arrangements. But we need, above all, to sign now before the Arab Summit in Tripoli. If we do, then we will engage our Arab brothers in helping us implement the agreement. If we don't, that opportunity will be lost. Ladies and gentlemen, a united Palestine is required to have a free and independent Palestine. Thank you very much.
Nabil Shaath, thank you very much indeed. You say a united Palestine is required. You remain far apart and hostile to each other, don't you? Your president, Mahmoud Abbas refers to Gaza under Hamas as an emirate of darkness. How conducive is that to reconciliation?
When you are at the kind of separation we were in and at the kind of civil war that we engaged, words just really are part of the expression of that horrible condition.
Well, let's look at the casualties, which are far more important than the words. 1,431 Palestinians killed by Palestinians over the last 9 years. What did they die for? What did they die for?
In my mind, they died in vain. And in my mind...
That's a terrible admission.
Yes, we should overcome this. Nobody in struggle against an enemy like our enemy can really afford to engage in civil war. We have become in civil war and we need to extricate ourselves out of it in words and in deeds, and I think we have the opportunity.
But perhaps since you have lived through so much bloodshed and so much failure in negotiations, perhaps you are no longer the right people to lead the Palestinians through this. Perhaps it's time to step aside and say, we've had our go, we've failed, and now it's time for new blood to come in.
I think we need a unity government. That's what I talked in my first 2 minutes.
But made up of new people.
Well, new people are very important to rejuvenate our movements.
The old guard has failed, hasn't it?
The old guard has not totally failed. I think its basic failure
is in its civil war. 1,431 people would give credence to the idea that they have failed. 1,431 people who you say, by your own word, have died in vain. That's a terrible cost.
We have failed in our civil war. We have not failed in facing a very difficult enemy. We were a situation in which the only interest in us was as refugees who needed help. Today, we are a people who have recognized right of self-determination, who are trying to build a state and are really at the focal interest of the whole world. And we've done that with our struggle.
All right, Nabil Shaath, thank you very much indeed. Now let me ask, please, Mohammad Nazzal to please give us your view of the conflict with Fatah and how you see it being resolved.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I would like to emphasize that Hamas is committed to reconciliation and national unity. We are trying to reach an agreement with all Palestinian factions, in particular our brothers in Fatah movement. Despite all our sincere efforts, no agreement was reached. You can ask me why. I can tell you that there are two main reasons for this failure. Firstly, the American-Israeli negative interference and imposing the quartet impossible conditions. Secondly, due to the American-Israeli pressures, the Egyptian insisted on us accepting and signing final agreement without taking into consideration our reservations. Now, you can ask me what is the solution for reconciliation and national unity. I can say, in brief, the only way for the future is to sit down to meaningful dialogue with no preconditions. And we in Hamas movement are willing to do this.
Mohammad Nazzal, thank you very much indeed. You say you're committed to reconciliation, but somehow the fact that you haven't signed the peace deal is all somebody else's fault.